control, Larry Marder was hired as the executive director to oversee publishing and the release. Marder was previously known as the creator of the Bean World comic in the mid-1980s, along with being the marketing director of Moondogs, a pop culture store chain. Marder would later become president of Todd Toys, a prestige company that Todd McFarlane would later found. As executive director, Marder used his experience to solicit books, print them, and collect the money. To stop the late issues, Marder established a policy that no solicitations would occur until 3 issues were already produced. He later discovered Image needed at least 30 books on the stands to be solvent. The frequent late books prompted a no-return policy with distributors as well, that within 90 days, though Image did sign a deal with Diamond for distribution, as according to Marder, they made the best offer. Nevertheless, 1993 was still a banner year for Image, though it did lead to some comic book veterans criticizing him for their immature writing and violent content. Image didn't work under the CCA, thus the content could be more mature. For example, in Jim Valentino's Shadowhawk, the title character dealt with criminals by breaking their spines, paralyzing them. They also were upset that it seemed the glamour had art that was more glamorous but shallow. The Image creators were undeterred, though, as they were able to make superhero stories they always wanted to, while also making some good money along the way. It helped that Image started to represent in many ways the cutting edge of the business, from top-quality paper, digital coloring, and dynamic lettering that was breaking all the norms of the industry. However, even the comic book creators were predicting a downturn as early as that year, when Eric Larson told Comic Book Week, the magazine, that when you have 10 billion comic book companies providing the same kind of superhero stories, a downturn is bound to happen. However, Larson also predicted that Image would survive, just as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles did during the black and white downturn. An interesting comic for Larson to highlight, since he would later bring Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to Image for a comic book run. One step Image did take was they broke from Malibu to become truly independent on their own, with their own distribution network. It wasn't just a moment too soon, as part of one of Marvel's biggest purchasing frenzies at the time, it acquired Malibu in November of 1994. The founders were already looking to spread their franchises when Hollywood came calling, as Mark Silvestri and Rob Liefeld signed development deals for cartoon series with Saban for their Cyberforce and Youngblood properties, with Mattel set to do the toys. However, the deal fell through while Todd McFarlane started his own McFarlane Toys to produce his own action figures. Silvestri at first doubted him, but later said the move proved that McFarlane was one of the savviest businessmen in comic books. McFarlane even gets spawned to make a live-action movie in 1997, and to date, it's the only Image adaptation of the original founders to ever make such a leap. The Image founders were challenged as businessmen, though, often hiring their friends to help. Todd McFarlane's wife even served as his editor at the beginning, while some started doing multiple books just to increase sales. They also ran into simple things of being a businessman, like renting office space and setting up payrolls, something they'd never done before. Then they had to negotiate toy, movie, and TV deals, all while trying to draw the comic books that they formed the company for. Each founder formed their own company, with Liefeld making Extreme, while Homage was formed by Lee, Silvestri, and Portasio. Mark Silvestri would later form his own company, Top Cow, while Lee would form Wildstorm. Soon, Image formed a slick, dangerous style in their books, once again creating the criticism at the time of all the Image books looking alike. At the same time, Image kept poaching Marvel's top talent like Jay Lee, Greg Capullo, and Stephen Platt, at the time Marvel's most prized artist due to his work on Moon Knight, along with bringing in other acclaimed artists like J. Scott Campbell, David Finch, Michael Turner, and Travis Silvestris, continuing the belief that bringing in top-notch talent would maintain Image's place in the market. However, the founders were not just attracting artists to Image Central, but to their individual studios. At first, this was fine, as everyone was getting along well, but it was also a harbinger of things to come. There were also some other bumps in the road as well, including one move that would backfire in Image's face. And with that, we will leave you for now. But when we return for part 2, we'll conclude with the history of Image Comics, and including that downturn, as Image suffers like everyone else, it will become the speculation class one of the worst moments in American comic book history. And now is October 17th, 2019. Time for some reviews. First up, of course, is a favorite comic book of the week, which is X-Men #1 by Jonathan Hickman and L.U., which features a new reboot of the series after the Powers of X event that finds the X-Men united like ever before and finally looking on solid ground with a sanctuary on the living island of Krakoa, and even some personal time as the Summers family have a long overdue cookout. Hickman does a great job mixing the fantastic and the mundane, pointing out how Krakoa, being a living island, has many magical benefits, including apparently the washing dishes in an interesting way, while also adding a nice touch of the personal, reminding us that the X-Men is a family, and the cookout is really a lot of great fun. The argument between Vulcan and Wolverine over how to cook a steak is hilarious. Linnell Yu's art is equally great, once again a perfect mix of the fantastic and the personal, as the Summers now live on the moon, and well, it looks kind of homely despite, well, being on the moon. Overall, it looks to be a great reboot of this classic series that's been a little up and down over the last few years, but Jonathan Hickman is a first-class writer, and Linnell Yu is a brilliant artist, so I'm looking forward to this series now again. Also, Arrow, the season premiere, came out last Tuesday. And as you noticed, the last season of the series with a 10-episode arc is going to lead straight into the Crisis of Infinite Earths CW crossover. And so far, looks like a lot of fun. This one directly deals with the Crisis event as Oliver ends up back in Star City, but with some interesting twists along the way. Great, just a lot of fun. Stephen Amell looks really giving his all for his last run of this character. And the Arrow, you forget, this is the series that really launched the CW universe, and we have a lot to thank for it. It's been a lot of fun so far, so I can't wait to see how this show ends. And with that, join me again next week for part 2 of the History of Image Comics. Till then, go out and enjoy yourself a good comic book.